got something big for Godzilla, something huge, and we're gonna obliterate him back to the Jurassic period. You will see. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be great.
All jokes aside, hey everybody, how you doing? I haven't done one of these videos in quite a while, and now that, it's on the new channel, I don't have to worry about it interfering with my history content and the algorithm over there. But hey, hi, I'm Adam Noyce of AN Productions. The first teaser dropped for Minus Zero. 45 seconds of typical Japanese teaser trailer stuff, in which half of it is black text, or is a black screen over white text. To be quite frank, and you can actually go back and you can hear me talk about it a little bit more on one of the live streams that I did on this channel. I've been purposefully kind of ignoring the fanfare behind Godzilla Minus Zero because, quite frankly, in Takashi Yamazaki, I trust. I don't really need to follow anything. I don't need to worry about too much because he is a damn fine filmmaker. Not just with Godzilla Minus One, which seems to be how a lot of people have discovered him. I discovered him because of a couple of his World War II movies, both in which are phenomenal. I actually did this with Monarch Season 2. I know that's still ongoing as of the time I'm recording this, and I'm loving the twists and turns of that, and I've been enjoying it quite a bit this season, so I'm just going to do the same thing with Godzilla Minus Zero. Now, I remember when it was first kind of coming out, I remember there were lots of rumors of this actually not being shown in IMAX, and I forgot exactly the rumor that kind of started this. A movie doesn't need to be in IMAX for me to enjoy it if I go see it, but it's now being sold as the complete opposite. It's now being sold as the first Japanese film made exclusively for IMAX. And at first I was like, what? Did they actually shoot this on film like a Christopher Nolan movie? No, I didn't think so. That was a pipe dream. This film was actually shot in high-end IMAX certified digital cameras, which I guess Japan had never really done before. So cool. And I'm glad it's the big G that gets this treatment. I find that very fitting in many ways. Now, I'm actually curious about the film's aspect ratio. I'm going to nerd out a little bit here because I'm a bit of an aspect ratio junkie. I don't think those two words have ever been combined before in the human language. The trailer is clearly in 2:4:0:1. That's your typical sort of CinemaScope anamorphic widescreen aspect ratio, even though it's clearly not shot in anamorphic. It's been matted to that aspect ratio. But if you watch an IMAX movie, an IMAX screen is either 1:43:1 or 1:90:1. An example of that, if you really want to see it in its full extent, is watch the Snyder Cut to Justice League. That was specifically rendered in 4:3 to mimic an IMAX screen. IMAX is super tall, while anamorphic is super wide, if you were to dumb it down to its bare bones basics. Quite frankly, it was probably shot with both aspect ratios in mind. A lot of films are done like this now. The Avengers films, for example, are shot in 2 aspect ratios, in one where they just sort of frame it in a way where they can mat it to the anamorphic, more widescreen image, but also open it up for IMAX. So that's probably what is being done with Godzilla Minus Zero. And if that's the case, I'm also curious which aspect ratio is going to be my preferred viewing of the movie. Now, the big twist that seems to have gotten everybody in this is that this is at least partially, this film takes place in Manhattan, in New York City. The final shot, which was awesome. I genuinely was like, oh, I was like, cool. All right, cool. We finally get Godzilla nuking New York again. That's wonderful. Not since really Destroy All Monsters, I think, have we really had something like that. And I loved watching Godzilla blow up the UN building in that. So I'm excited. Everyone has and their brother has taken notice of this, including me, that Godzilla is a lot bigger in this movie than he was in the previous film, like about double the size he was. I wonder how that's going to be explained. I have a feeling the U.S. dialogue seems to suggest that maybe they're aborting a nuclear bomb drop on Godzilla. That dialogue might take place directly after the ending of Minus One. Who knows? Maybe the Americans are just kind of watching it. I don't know. What we do know is that this film takes place 2 years after Minus One. This film takes place in 1949. With all that said, I don't want to speculate on that too much, but I know we're not going to get this, but this is desperately what I want. I still want to see my Douglas MacArthur versus Godzilla, damn it. I desperately want to see that, or Chesty Puller. I would love to see Chesty Puller fight Godzilla. literally fight Godzilla. And Lord knows Takashi Yamazaki does love his history. He seems to be obsessed with, in particular, the latter half of World War II and the immediate aftermath of World War II. Tons of his movies take place in that time period. So he's pretty comfortable here, and I really wish he would play with it. Me being the history nerd, I absolutely would play with this. It would be awesome listening to a Truman speech talking about Godzilla's raid on New York City. I also am kind of wondering how Godzilla gets from the Pacific to the Atlantic, but neither here nor there. It seems to be ignoring some of the previous sentiments of Godzilla Minus One. For example, in that film, the big thing that I was worried about, and that gets explained in the movie, is that America doesn't get involved in that movie. America refuses to get involved. They state it outright within the movie. This seems to be done out of the shocking success of Godzilla Minus One. I mean, it was a huge hit over here in the United States. I don't need to tell you that. It won the Big G and Academy Award, for God's sakes. This film is definitely taking a more international approach in its scope. And that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the success of Godzilla Minus One. So we're getting a bigger budget here, and that's probably going to help with it quite a bit. I'm definitely praying for no English. We even got that in Shin Godzilla as late as 2016. I hope they don't speak bad English. Lord knows Godzilla has a bad habit of English within their films.
Was a treasure chest of genetic engineering.
Got him! Take that, you dinosaur.
Drive to flight level 100.
KN1079er, clear for takeoff.
I want you make sure that the Japan does not produce any more of that.
There is one thing that is said in the trailer that I do find kind of fascinating, is that is the Americans in the film reference something called a third drop. Now, what is that? Is that a weapon? It seems to hint that it might be a nuke, but I could be completely wrong. What did they use twice against Godzilla within the film? And we clearly see that they're inside a B-29. So was it a nuke? Was it just a MOAB of some kind, a mother of all bombs? It's quite clear that the Americans are playing a bigger role in this movie than they did in the previous film. And again, I think a lot of that comes down to the shocking international success Minus One had. So we're finally kind of opening the floodgates a little bit. I just hope they don't do it too much. There is such thing as too much. I don't think Takashi Yamazaki is going to do that to us. So I am really loving this new Oppenheimer trilogy. It's wonderful. We got Oppenheimer, Godzilla Minus One, and now Godzilla Minus Zero. It's turning out to be one of the best cinematic trilogies ever made. Godzilla's design does change within the trailer. I don't know if you guys know. Everyone and their brother has fucking noticed it. Who the hell am I kidding? He has spikes on his shoulders in this shot. What did that mean? When the hell did that happen? But yet there's none in this shot. So something happens between this and that. And I'm very curious to see what it is. And again, I'm speculating very generically that he may have gotten nuked. The one shot in this that seems to intrigue everyone, including me, is that one shot of the buildings flying in the air and the blue lightning. This image is very Monsterverse, and that's the only thing that has me a little concerned about this whole thing. I loved the grounded nature of Godzilla Minus One. This looks certainly a little more fantastical, which is definitely what a lot of people want. A lot of people with their Godzilla love the sort of insanity of it. I am one of those people. The thing is, we have that already. We have that with the Monsterverse. One of the things that I just adored about Godzilla Minus Zero is how absolutely grounded in reality, or its own reality, that film was. And I pray this movie doesn't go too far with it. And I don't think they will, because I believe in Takashi Yamazaki. But that shot seems to point to the fact that there is probably going to be a second monster within this film, and Ghidorah seems to be the biggest name that I see popping up left and right, which is unfortunate. It seems like they always go with Ghidorah as the big baddie for a Godzilla movie these days, probably because he's the most marketable, and probably because he's one of the more recognizable of Godzilla's foes. I don't really understand why people are immediately jumping to Ghidorah on this. The only thing that I can think of is probably because of that blue lightning that we see within this one shot. One of my friends actually speculated something that I found interesting, is he doubts that this is going to happen, and so do I, but maybe there are two Godzillas within this movie, which would be cool. I do think that is a really fascinating concept, something that they kind of did within the anime trilogy, but then sort of squandered it like they did everything else in there. But I think that would be cool. Instead of there being, two different monsters, it's two Godzillas. But again, I do not think that's that's going to happen, and I still don't know why buildings are floating. I guess we're going to have to watch the movie to find out. I personally would really love to just see another movie where it's just Godzilla again. I'm not saying I'm sick of the versus stuff, and I know that's what a majority of people who watch Godzilla want. They want to see their giant monsters fighting each other. But, you know, I'm a bit of a history nerd. I'm a bit of a battlefield, you know, strategy nerd. I love like War of the Worlds, for example. I would love to see a War of the Worlds-esque movie, not the Ice Cube one, a War of the Worlds-esque movie where it's just the military guys forming plans to fight Godzilla, and that's the entire fucking movie. That's why I loved Shin Godzilla so much, is that very reason. A movie basically just dedicated to the idea of mankind versus Godzilla, us or him. I'd personally really like that. Unfortunately, that also means less toys, and we know how much Toho loves their toys and how much money they make off of selling toys. And if you only have Godzilla, well, you can only sell Godzilla toys. But if you have King Ghidorah, suddenly it opens the floodgates, specifically a new design for King Ghidorah. I am so hyped. And Takashi Yamazaki, I trust. I can't emphasize that enough. I've been loving everything Godzilla as of late. I'm super excited for the insanity we're going to get with Godzilla Supernova, or Godzilla X Kong Supernova, I should say. And as of right now, I am absolutely adoring Monarch Season 2. I'm a little behind. From what I've seen, I'm about halfway through the show. I think I'm on Episode 6, or I just finished Episode 6. I am loving it. And I can't wait to talk about that further with you guys later. So, with that all being said, there you go. Those are my thoughts and reactions of the new 45-second teaser for Godzilla Minus Zero. If you want more Godzilla content, hit the subscribe button. All links to my social media is in the description below. And in the end, this is Adam Noyce of AN Productions saying, sayonara.